Many people believe that prayer has to sound perfect in order for God to hear it. Hi, welcome to Real Life Reflections with Ishi, where I share real experiences, real growth, and real faith. Today we're talking about prayer, authenticity, surrender, and the kind of worship that truly reaches the heart of God. Now, somewhere along the way, many of us unintentionally began to treat prayer like performance. We started to believe that in order for God to hear us, our words needed to sound polished, eloquent, structured, and spiritually impressive. However, the more I've grown in my relationship with God, the more I've come to realize that prayer was never meant to be performance. Prayer is relationship, and real relationships are built on honesty, not perfection. Our prayers do not need to be perfect because it is the authenticity of our worship and our prayers that reach the heart of God. And that truth becomes especially important during the difficult seasons of our lives. There are moments when the emotional climate that we're in can make it difficult to pray the way that we normally would. There are seasons when your mind feels tired, your heart feels heavy, and you are emotionally overwhelmed. Whether it be grief, spiritual warfare, anxiety, confusion, or even emotional exhaustion. And in those moments, you may not have the capacity to pray long, eloquent prayers. Sometimes all you have is the strength to cry out to God for help. And I'm here to tell you that even a simple cry for help reaches heaven. Even that prayer matters to God. Scripture tells us in Romans 8, verse 26, in the same way the Spirit helps us in our weakness, we do not know what we ought to pray for, but the Spirit Himself intercedes for us through wordless groans. And that brings so much comfort because it reminds us that God is not measuring our prayers by performance. He responds to sincerity, to honesty, to humility. God responds to surrender. God already knows what is in your heart before you even speak it. David says in Psalms 139, verse 4, before a word is on my tongue, Lord, you know it completely. God sees everything. He knows everything. God sees the tears you cannot explain. He sees the exhaustion that you try to hide, the feelings that you don't always know how to articulate. And sometimes the deepest prayers are not spoken at all. Sometimes they sound like silence. Sometimes they look like tears, and sometimes it sounds like admitting to God that you don't know what to do anymore, and He still hears you. Many of us have inadvertently placed so much pressure on ourselves to sound spiritual instead of simply being honest and upfront with God. But prayer was never supposed to be rehearsed. Prayer was never supposed to be a recitation without relationship. God is not looking for theatrical performances. He desires authenticity, intimacy, connection. He desires a relationship with you. And to be able to speak to God, to commune with Him, should leave us in reverent wonder. It should leave us basking in the privilege that we have to be able to commune with the divine. The privilege of speaking to the one who holds all things in His sovereign hands should never become something that we take for granted, because prayer is not just communication, it is communion. And one of the most beautiful things about prayer is that it creates a safe place for surrender. Not perfect surrender, not flawless faith, honest, sincere surrender. Prayer is not about impressing heaven. It is about remaining connected to God. And this is important because many people stop praying altogether when they feel spiritually weak or distant. But weakness or distance does not disqualify you from prayer. If anything, it is often those moments when we feel like we cannot pray or when we feel like we do not want to pray. Those are the moments that we need to pray even more. You do not have to have every word figured out before going to God. You do not have to sound impressive to be heard. You are simply required to go to God honestly. God is not moved by performance. He is moved by the sincerity of your heart. Thank you so much for joining me today. I pray that this blesses you as much as it has blessed me. And remember, your prayers do not need to be perfect to reach God. If this spoke to you, share it with someone you love. I'll see you in the next reflection.